thanks for staying with us on BizTalk. If you have any comments, you can email us at biztalk@bernama-tv.com, or you can tweet us at biztalk502, or you can call us at 032-693-7008. And I have with me Professor Muhammad Aslam and Doç.Saim KAYADİBİ from IIUM to speak on the Second International Conference on Islamic Economics and Economies of the OIC Companies. I was talking about Islamic economics. Can we implement it in Malaysia? Is it possible?
Well, I think Malaysia in the OIC framework is probably one of the leading countries when it comes to not only Islamic banking finance but Islamic economics. And why I say that is, if we can go back maybe even 30 plus years, there has been certainly a demand for a greater adherence to religious values, and these demand has been translated into policies. Hence, that's why I think our conference is also focusing on the policy dimension.
Right.
Because while a lot of attention has been given to Islamic banking, really not enough attention has been given to the area of economic policy.
Right.
And we're very happy that Ministry of Finance actually is our co-organizer.
Right.
It indicates that the ministry is very serious about translating what we are talking about in theory into policy prescriptions. So if you look at Malaysian policy over the last 30 years, there has been certainly, right from the time of inculcation of Islamic values policy, we've established various institutions, whether it is in the economic and finance area or even in education. You find that, and legal amendments to allow Islamic banks to operate. And I think the Central Bank is going to introduce a new Islamic Financial Services Act, very soon. There is serious effort being made to allow us to maybe practice some of the things that we have been talking about in theory. But it's not an easy thing. Policy is not an easy area, and really that is the reason why we organize this conference, because we want there to be this platform where academics and policymakers can actually come together and exchange ideas, and hopefully some of these ideas then get translated into policies. Yes.
Right, okay, we have another speaker, so let's watch the package right now.
Now, if you realize that there are so many Muslim countries today that have tried to assimilate Islam or Sharia into their business model, and particularly in Malaysia, which is in the forefront in their regulatory framework, especially in Islamic banking and finance, there's a lot of improvement. And perhaps Malaysia is considered among the few countries that have banking laws compared to many Muslim countries. So assimilating these Islamic values into our economic and finance system would definitely require a different way of measuring these values. We cannot rely solely on the conventional quantitative measures. It is good, they can help us to look at those development quantitatively, but there are certain values which these benchmarks cannot capture. Things like moral values, the ethics, which are part of the Sharia or Islamic benchmark. Now, we took a case study of Aceh government. In 2006, Aceh was granted what we call self-governance by the Indonesian government. And so they started implementing Islam in many of their policies. So naturally the public will expect that all policies being implemented by the government should reflect Sharia-oriented public policies. So we decided to look into those government spending, to what extent they really reflect the aspiration of the Aceh people in terms of their expectation that these spending would meet certain Islamic or Sharia requirements. Now, we developed also a model which we term it as Maqasid Performance Pair Matrix. That means we took Maqasid al-Sharia, which was a theory developed by our early scholar, Imam al-Ghazali, and then we tried to measure this spending at 5 levels of hierarchy. That means dire needs, necessity, complements, and the last is, of course, beyond embellishment. Meaning, if you spend, has your spending been able to allow the society to fulfill their needs at a level below the basic need? Could this expenditure help them to fulfill at a hierarchy of basic needs? Did they go beyond their basic needs and enjoying the quality of life because of their spending? So this is what all the models is about.
Right. Dr. Saim, probably you could add into the research that they did.
Yes, I'd like to actually to add Dr. Mustafa's talk. Maqasid Sharia, which is high objective of the lawgiver, bring 6 values. Out of 6 values is actually original 5 values. These are religion, commodity, life, intellect, and lineage. The 6th one is actually honor. This 6th one added later by great Sheikh Alim scholar Karafi, Imam Karafi, and then became 6 important, significant values of the Maqasid Sharia.
Right. Why was it added? Why is it important?
Because they thought that time, the scholars, they thought that the honor of the Muslim, protection of the honor of Muslim as significant as the others.
Right.
Has to be protected just like with the others. While, for example, protecting the life, the religion, the commodity would be the same, because if you do not protect the honor of Muslim, you are already lost.
Right.
So the religion actually came to protect these 6 values.
Right.
So one of them, as we have been talking about, the economics and finance issues, which is the second one, mal, has to be protected.
Right.
With that way, the legal issues or other institutes must bring out new rulings, new regulations, for example, to protect these 6 values.
Okay.
But of course, protecting these 6 values not easy matter.
Right.
So we have to divide these things, which one is actually essential, which one is supplementary, which one is the third levels. We have to differentiate, prioritize them, and then try to protect the 6 values. Beside this, I would like to add the previous, just the connection with that actually, what made Malaysia is a focal center or center point of Islamic banking and finance. We have to consider the historical development actually. What, for example, Dr. Mahathir's policy, after that Islamization policy and Islam Hadari policy, and after that the opening of International Islamic University, it's a great development. And after that the Department of Economics and Management, this is actually developed and fostered this development of Islamic and finance in Malaysia.
Right. Do you want to add anything to the research?
Well, I think what the point that I got from the interview just now was that in order to measure the success of Islamic economics and Islamic finance, you need to have benchmarks that are also developed, that can actually measure what is expected. Most of the models and most of the measurements that you have today are measurements that have been developed in conventional economics to measure the performance of conventional institutions.
Right.
So if you're talking about these 6, the Maqasid Sharia, then benchmarks have to actually reflect those goals.
Yes.
And this is another area that we are hoping that the conference will be able to help in developing theoretical models and benchmarks that can actually be used in measuring the success or otherwise of Islamic economic reforms.
Okay, right. We are almost to the end of the show. Any last few words to the viewers to come to the conference? And
well, of course, we would love that everybody wants to come to the conference.
Right.
We hope, I think the idea of organizing this conference is actually to allow this interaction, as I mentioned earlier, between the theoretical side and the policy side. We are hoping that the 90-odd papers, and then we've got 2 panel sessions. We've got 2 keynote speakers. One, Dr. Savaş Alpay, who will be from Turkey, talking about various issues in OIC countries. He's the director of an institute in Ankara, an OIC institute. So he'll be able to give an overview of what's happening in the Muslim world.
Right.
And then we have Professor Mundir Kahaf, a very renowned scholar in Islamic economics and finance, who will be talking about future research in Islamic economics and finance. So we are hoping that the output of this conference, and because it's a kind of a mix between theory and policy, we hope that it will actually move the agenda of Islamic economics not away from Islamic finance, but to look at this bigger area of Islamic economics, Islamic finance, and policy.
Right.
So that this could actually be used as solutions to the problems that are faced. And I must again add, these solutions are not meant only for Muslims. It has to be meant for mankind.
True.
And what we're trying to actually give are solutions to the problems of mankind.
All right, thank you so much, Professor Muhammad Aslam Hanif and also Dr. Saim KAYADİBİ, for being with us and explaining to us about the conference and also Islamic economics.
Thank you.
Right, and thank you so much for tuning in with us on Best Talk, and until we meet again real soon, I'm Stretchy Sunny. Say goodbye.
I like it.